It's good to be with you. Good to have all of you on board after what is as embarrassing a loss as the program could have suffered. It's as big a setback for Mike Norvell and his staff as one could have ever envisioned. No matter how you thought this season was going to play out, you would not have put an L next to the Jacksonville State game. And whether you thought this would be a year that the team played rather sporadically, look good one week, bad the next, whatever it might be, because of areas of weakness within the personnel, because it is an ongoing rebuilding effort, whatever leeway you were prepared to give them, I think to varying degrees has vanished. I think the vast majority of this fan base today is not only hurting, but questioning what they thought they knew. I think we are too, to some extent. I'm going to have maybe a different approach to this in the sense that I actually think, now this will be discussed later in the show, I actually think they're going to go and play well against Wake. But let's circle back to the issue at hand here, which was a whole bunch of nonsense on Saturday night in which the coaching staff failed the players immensely. And the coaching staff now doesn't have a margin for error because of that betrayal. And it's really a lot of the things that happened in that game were completely unacceptable. And it started very early on. Coach Norvell and his staff turned this into a glorified scrimmage. They wanted to put things on tape for Wake Forest. There's a message you send to your team when you do that, and that is that you do not have to take the opponent seriously. And they didn't. And what happens when you let somebody hang around time and again, and you get late into a game like that, and there's still a measure of hope, you might just lose a game like that. I've used a lot of analogies over the course of the last 48 hours or so in talking with people that, either have played the game or certainly been around sports for a long time. And many of you, most of you certainly can relate to that too, right? You know that if you don't take somebody seriously, if you underestimate your opponent, if hubris is at hand and you don't recognize it and you toy around with somebody, you can get got, is what I said. And I used a boxing analogy. There are fighters, good fighters, who lose fights occasionally that they should never lose based on skill set, based on hand speed, based on strength, punching power, footwork. They might see an opponent, they'll look at the film, and they'll gauge what that opponent's to be. And then they get in the ring and it's confirmed, right? It's confirmed that they're bigger and stronger and faster, and that this shouldn't be, as long as they're technically sound and focused, much of a fight. But human nature occasionally sets in, especially if you don't prepare properly and you don't take it seriously, and you drop your hands because you're lazy, because you don't think you can get hurt, and you're punched. And you open your eyes to a new reality when you wake up, when you realize that you've derailed your career and that the path towards a title fight is now that much more arduous, that it's going to take a lot longer to get to where you want to go. There are going to be more hours and more moments that could have been avoided to an extent had you just taken care of business. The hand-wringing and the second-guessing and the building of a culture, thinking that you're much further along, that all went out the window on Saturday night because they fooled around and they let somebody hang out, and the next thing you knew, they lost the football game that they should have never lost in a million years. There is no excuse for the final play. It can never happen, ever. It can't happen. They ran a play. Jacksonville State ran a play. That's not a Hail Mary. They ran a play. And it was a play based on a look. And the look that they got on the play before told them Florida State doesn't know what they're doing. Florida State doesn't know what they're doing. They're confused. The personnel, everything about what they're doing gives us a chance. Run it again. Their coach said as much. Their coach told you that afterwards. We'd gotten open on the play before. My guy just missed him. Threw to the wrong guy. It's unimaginable. I don't know how that happens. I especially don't know how it happens when, well, having said all that I just did, when I think you have a good head coach. I think Mike Norvell is a detail-oriented guy. I think Mike Norvell is a good head coach. I think Mike Norvell has helped change the culture and is on the right path. Whew! But, buddy, that is as tough a moment in a coaching career for a good coach as I think I've ever seen. There's a lot to undo there. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to rebuild there after that. That can never happen. That doesn't happen in Pee-wee football. They're on their own 41. It's fourth down. The game is over. The game is over. How it is, you don't have just about everybody on that field sitting somewhere around the 20, ensuring that nobody can get behind you. I mean, there is no excuse, and there's no way to explain it away. And today, I get it. If you're a head coach, if you're a leader, and you have people that you've hired that work for you, that you trust, that you respect, that you've chosen to be part of the group that is going to help turn this thing around and elevate this program to where everybody expects it to be, and they make that kind of a mistake. Now, ultimately, it comes back to you because you're the leader. You are the unquestioned leader. You're the head coach. You're the CEO. Whatever you are, you can't then go out to a press conference and roll those employees. So I don't expect him to go to the dais today and say, well, Adam Fuller screwed us all. He's not going to do that because ultimately that is still on him. He screwed that up. Mike has the ability to override anything he hears in that headset. So that can never happen. I am still curious, and we may never know, what exactly happened. Was that a communication breakdown? Did somebody signal it in wrong? There's no way you call that defensive formation. There's no way you do that. And you had the wrong personnel on the field, which is bizarre, which tells me you were ill-prepared for the moment, and that is on coaching. That means that somewhere along the way you didn't practice that. You didn't account for a scenario where we're in this situation. One-score game, final play. What's the personnel we want on the field? What do we want to call in that situation? Look, you can tell me they had a timeout and you're worried they're going to get into field goal range, but it really doesn't add up because he's going to have to throw the ball with their own 41, so you get across the 50. They have a freshman kicker, by the way, who's only made, 2 extra points in his career or a field goal, whatever it was.
Yeah, a career long of 46 is what the broadcast said.
Okay, so here you go. You got a freshman kicker on the road. Let's just say, now 6 seconds, right? So you got to throw the ball a minimum of 20, 30 yards. So they have to have time to get open. They got to get 30 yards downfield, okay? Tick, 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 tick. Now I've got to throw it, execute it, catch it, hope that I get tackled in time or my receiver catches and gets down in time that I can call a timeout and that I can get my guys out there inside of 6 seconds. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You know what? Take your chances. If my man's going to kick a 55-yard field goal and tie it up, at least you didn't lose the damn game. You'll go to overtime. You have the more talented team. I don't know. You could lose that too, but you didn't lose. You're not going to lose. It doesn't make any sense. And he knows that. And there's no way. I don't want him to get up there and be mopey. He recognizes the mistake. And he's also not going to roll his guy under the bus up at the dais. He's just not going to do it. And I wouldn't either. I'm the guy. I'm the coach. I'm the reason that guy's here. I have to wear that. I have to take that ass kicking. I have to be up there and listen to those questions and try to explain away what can't be explained away. To their credit and to his credit, and it's not certainly a big pat on the back, there was no deflecting. There was no, it's somebody else's fault. He took responsibility immediately following the game. I got it here. I put it all down on my sheet. And he said, I didn't have the team ready to play. He took full responsibility. He went on to apologize to the university, to the fans, to the players, to anybody who cares about Florida State football. He rightfully pointed out that he admitted to you their offensive game plan was ass when he says that they couldn't sustain drives, that they were constantly in long yardage situations because they're undisciplined and they commit a lot of penalties and they're constantly behind the chains. He basically admitted that. He talked about reevaluating personnel. Well, that's what you do when you're not playing well, when guys are making repeated mistakes. By the way, my opinion, I don't know this as a fact, my opinion is when he's talking about reevaluating personnel on the offensive end to avoid penalties, he's talking about Dante Lucas. That's who he's talking about. Have we seen enough of that kid? Then he goes through, and it is a very soul-searching press conference. I think that Andrea Adelson's words pierced his soul when she said, Florida State's never lost to an FCS school. What did you say to the team afterwards, and how do you recover from this and move forward? He closed his eyes. He had a moment because he realizes, I just presided over the worst loss in Florida State history. I just made my job exceedingly difficult for no reason other than hubris. Other than I didn't think it was possible to lose to this team. So I wanted to experiment and try some things out and put guys in certain situations to see how they responded, to put things on tape for Wake Forest to have to prepare for. Never in a million years did I think that approach could actually lead to a loss. And frankly, he probably should have got away with it. Maybe this is the ending for what you did, but what you do know, and what is imperative for the coaches to know, is my team mature enough to handle it? Are they good enough and mature enough to handle some of the things I want to try to do on Saturday night and still go win the damn ball game? Go win the game. Now, a lot of coaches in that situation would have done something similar in terms of trying different formations, trying different kids in different spots, knowing that we have the vastly superior personnel. Let's just go ahead and try some things here. But you know what you got to do? You got to know that you can win the game first. You got to know that your team's mature enough and good enough to go get the win. You go get the win, then you mess around and try things out. Get up 17, get up 24 points, and start fooling around with some things, experimenting with some things. Once you've already stepped on the neck and you've left somebody devoid of any hope whatsoever moving forward. That's the thing about underdogs, right? I've said on this show before over the years, for many years now, that when you're playing a team that you're heavily favored to beat, and this is in any sport, this is just, again, nature of competition and human nature. If I'm better than you, you may know it deep down. You may know, well, he's bigger and he's stronger and he's faster and he's more skilled. This is a problem. We've all faced that, right? We've all faced somebody who we know is just too big, too strong, too fast. And it sucks. It's a bad feeling. It really is. But there is always somebody bigger, stronger, faster, right? I don't care if you're Gronk or anybody else. There's always somebody who's bigger, stronger, faster. And you know, it's tough to compete in those situations. But because you believe in yourself and because you've put in a lot of work, you've put in a ton of work, you've sacrificed your blood, sweat, your tears, you're going to go give it a go. I mean, you're not going to walk out there and just lay down. You're going to say, well, let's see what happens. Maybe I get something started early. Maybe he begins to doubt. Maybe the pressure's on him. The longer I hang around, the more that pressure begins to shift to the other side of the field. Game pressure shifts over. If you're in a team event, you know, we've all seen how these upsets brew and how they occur. So when this is playing out, what you have to do is early in the game, go bust that ass. Go dominate. You're the bigger, stronger, faster team. Go dominate. I don't care if it's boring. Sledgehammer them, line up and run the ball, get your lead. Now begin to kind of work in some other elements that you want to put on tape for Wake Forest or anybody else for that matter, or see for yourself how guys respond situationally. But go assert yourself and leave little doubt that this game is over. You were never going to compete. You knew it deep down, but you're a competitor, so you showed up. But here, I've proven to you, your worst fear is true. This is over. And then you have that opportunity. They never did it. They never really could. They were always behind the chains. They were always making stupid decisions and mistakes, self-inflicted errors, those kinds of things. One penalty after the other. Drop passes. I mean, you got a walk-in touchdown. Catch the ball. So this is the worst case scenario for a guy who has put in so much work and built up so much goodwill to undo it in one fell swoop on a fateful Saturday night against an overwhelmingly outmatched team. That path to winning, the path to winning over the fans again, the path to ensuring that culture stays intact within that locker room, the path to making sure that the recruits who have said yes to you because they believe in said message remains intact, that just got that much more difficult to complete. You're now going to be uphill the rest of this year. You've lost every benefit of the doubt imaginable. It's hard to comprehend how that could happen. And it's nuanced. It's not as simple as this guy stinks, this guy's a bad coach, this guy's a good coach, they should have done that. No, it's a total failure from top to bottom with the approach of a singular game on a Saturday night that they didn't think they could lose. And now they have. And time is the only thing, time and wins, as many as you can garner this year to secure that class, because you also have to raise the overriding level of talent here. That's the other thing that stands out often in these situations. When you're up against it and you don't have an overwhelming advantage within certain segment groups, you can't just fall back. You know, in golf, you'll see guys, the elite, the best players of the world, they don't always have their best stuff. They don't always have their authentic swing. They don't always have everything that they need on a given day. But they have a couple go-to things they can do. They have a couple shots that they can go to. Tiger Stinger is a good example. There are things they can go to that they know, I can execute this under pressure. I may not win. I may not go low today, but I'm not throwing up an 86. Saturday night was like an 86 for a professional golfer. Like I'm not going to do that, right? I'll get in the clubhouse at 75 because I'll fall back on these things. This is my identity. This is something I can count on. This is something I can do. They don't have overwhelming talent. They're not overly talented at quarterback. They don't block it up in pass pro very well. They're average at wide receiver. Their linebackers stink. You don't have the wiggle room, man. You better find something you can do and stick with it and get really good at it and fall back on it when you get off to a fits and stops and starts kind of game like they did on Saturday night. Find out who you are and go back to doing it. I think it's the run game, personally. I think it's Jason Corbin mixed in with a little Trayshawn Ward. I think it might have to be a little more Jordan Travis than a lot of fans want to hear from because of his legs. What an abysmal performance. What a catastrophic result. This is where it gets interesting, though. I do think if you like to study leadership and you care to follow, a lot of people have checked out right now. A lot of fans have said, that's it, that's all, man. It's one too many. I can't do this. You might be right. You might be wrong, Jeff. I'm tired. I'm just so damn tired. It's every year with this group. It's tough. I don't blame you for feeling that way. I thought about all of the local businesses, all of the restaurants and bars, all of the people who live in Tallahassee that know that this community not only is enriched financially, but spiritually when the programs at Florida State and Florida A&M play well. That we're all just a little bit better off on a daily basis, a little skip in the step when they're playing well, when there's a reason to latch on and hope and believe. A lot of people feel, one of my favorite words, I know I overuse it, bereft today, right? And only time is going to tell. And you can't fast forward it. It sucks. You just took a massive step backwards. A massive step backwards. A win at Wake Forest. Maybe it's a little salve, still a deep, deep cut. Got to keep monitoring that thing. Keep monitoring. Make sure it doesn't get infected. Maybe. Then you get another win. Maybe another win. All right. Looks like it's healing up a little bit. Maybe. I suspect that's the direction this is going to go. I could be wrong. And that is not hedging, because a loss that is that ugly in that situation does render the possibility that you lose them. There are an awful lot of transfers on this team. We'll see. I do think he's correct when he points out that he believes in the kids, the culture that they've created, and that the buy-in that he sees. I believe that's real. Wake Forest might tell you an awful lot about that buy-in if it's still there, about that belief if it's still there, if that locker room is still connected. We'll see. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Hey, Nole fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state government, including public health and emergency response agencies, our friends at ISF recognize September as National Preparedness Month and want to help you be safe this hurricane season. Visit ISF.com to learn more and download your emergency preparedness plan today. ISF, solving the future.
Applications, onboarding, payroll, termination. Business owners and managers, these are the processes that take away too much time from what you do best. But what if there was a locally owned, responsive solution that would charge you a fraction of the big national payroll companies? Sound too good to be true? It's not. North Florida Payroll Services is Tallahassee owned for nearly 15 years. And in that time, their prices have never changed. The reason North Florida Payroll Services can do that? Exceptional customer service that constantly evolves with the latest technology. From application to termination, for turnkey service for your payroll and HR services, trust a Tallahassee expert and save yourself time and money. North Florida Payroll Services. Online at northfloridapayroll.com.
This is an insurance market alert from Barbara at Faircloth Insurance in Tallahassee. A few months ago, I asked you to contact your legislators to help stop the skyrocketing property insurance rates in Florida. Other states average 2 lawsuits per day on property insurance claims. Florida has 384 per day. The property owners of Florida are being taken advantage of, but it is not by the insurance companies. The companies are paying out 10 times the cost of a claim or more that would have been paid anyway. People are canvassing neighborhoods, knocking on doors, suggesting that the property owner may have some damage. The property owner innocently signs something that turns all control of any claim settlement to an attorney that becomes the person designated to get the claim check and who controls the disbursement of the claim payment. If we want these rates to go down, we must reach out to our legislators and let them know how unaffordable home insurance has become and that we want them to support reform that will fix the issues. This has been an insurance market alert from Barbara at Faircloth Insurance in Tallahassee.
Hey, it's Greg Tish, and I want to tell you about our new segment, Real Law. If you have questions about a legal problem in your life, ask a real lawyer. Tune in every Wednesday at 8 a.m. for Real Law with Chris Dunn, right here on Real Talk 93.3.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. This summer, you can save money and stay comfortable. Ask about our annual service agreement with no overtime charges ever. At Barano Heating and Air, we're always there for you. Online at baranoac.com.
Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Welcome to Tallulah Talk After Hours, your home for all things CBD. Tonight, we're talking about the benefits of CBD personal lubricants, CBD massage oils, romantic CBD scented candles, chocolates, and even CBD bath bombs. Did you know CBD lubricants can lead to increased sensitivity, resulting in longer and stronger experiences? What's left to talk about? Get yours today at Tallulah CBD on Market Street and now open in Betterman Crossings. Thanks for listening to Tallulah Talk After Hours.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
More Life First Class is always free when you hit up Orange Theory as a new member. This goes through September 30th as far as the Summer of More Life campaign. I would like you to get involved. It'll help you on your day-to-day journey through life. I can tell you that. Clear head, better physical shape on a daily basis, and little I don't know, man. I just got it's a little breath of fresh air, right? More life. I guess that's how you say it. If you refer a friend,
we all could use a good sweat right now.
Ooh,
and I don't mean it's gambling. I mean, we just all could use a little bit of physical activity to get our mind off some stuff.
I told you I wanted hills, and I shouldn't have asked for them. We got them today.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. A lot of hills today.
All right.
I'm not a fan of the hills. I do them because I'm tough like that, but the hills, those are toughies.
But, hills are necessary to live in the high country.
I can walk those hills in my high country home, Tom. But that was good. I walked in today. I was like, oh, a lot of hills today. A lot of push pace hills today, I see. Oh, not even base pace hills. We're going to run hard up these hills, I see.
Your suspicion that you were yelling at me during the break is, in fact, true.
Yeah, Dante Lucas is not on the 2 deep.
That is correct.
No, I didn't think so. You got to tell that kid to get the hell up out of here. I've thought that for a while now. It's a shame. He's got some talent, but he's got to go.
I consulted, of course, as I should, right? The Tribal Council on Warchant.com, and I looked at the post on the depth chart for Wake Forest. And in fact, Ira did post it, screenshots and all. And I'm looking at the offensive line.
You don't see his
and
name.
I see Robert Scott still starting at left tackle.
We don't have options, Tom. It's not a very good offensive line.
Well, that's not ripping the kid because it might be an injury concern. Who knows? Mike, he answered that question today. He said, I hope to have those two guys back when it was Maurice Smith and Robert Scott.
Maurice Smith especially, yeah.
Point taken.
If you're an active member and you refer a friend or upgrade in the month of September, you'll receive a discounted membership for the next 3 months at Orange Theory Fitness. Non-active members sign up and receive discounted membership prices for the next 3 months as well. They're just doling out a lot of savings here at Orange Theory Fitness. Make it happen, kids. Give them a call today, 850-895-9683, Orange Theory Fitness. Oh, man.
I did secure some audio over the weekend, if you'd like. It's insider audio. Is this the time for it?
Them as they were walking off the field? Is this a discussion between head coach and Adam Fuller and other coaches?
Defensive coordinator and head coach talking after the game, just the two of them.
Glad you grabbed this audio. They won't like that we played this. Go ahead.
Then you talk to me about that. Okay. You gotta give us a shot. You know what? You gotta give us a shot. Listen to me. Let me hear what I'm saying, okay? You get your shot. You had your shot right there in the situation. Well, why you know the situation, Terry. Why don't we get a shot in? Because that makes it worse. That makes it worse. I know it. He did nothing to that guy. Nothing. Okay, I can't control that. You know as well as I do. You know where I stand on the whole situation. But you're better than that. You know that. Listen, I'm telling you, our ass is in the jackpot now. Okay, I'm just telling you. You know what? That's you got it.
If you're new to the Jeff Cameron Show on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV, then you don't know that has been with us for a long time. That was the Mets, and that was Terry, what's his face?
Collins. Somehow, unbelievably, they secured that audio. Whoever did. It was just randomly released on social media one day.
Is MLB. Well, there's two guys that do that, by the way, that for whatever reason have access to umps that are mic'd, players that are mic'd, and they do a good job. There's some
they got Aaron Boone once.
There's some good stuff there. But anyhow, yes, that is a hell of a give and take, and we've been using it for years because it did sound like a dramatic moment in a movie. We thought a mob movie in which somebody's got to get hit. Somebody's got to go down.
And it's not going to be me.
Yeah, it's just they're having it out. One specific line can be played on a loop for some time to come, and it's this line.
Our ass is in the jackpot now.
Yes, it is. Yep, that is correct. Yes. That's what you did. That's what you did.
Our ass is in the jackpot now. Okay?
You did that. It's just...
Yeah. Our ass is in the jackpot because of what you did.
It's the rare moment as a parent where you're so profoundly disappointed with the actions of your child, and a point has to be made. There's a standard, Tom, in this household. That is not what we're going to do around these parts. That's not going to happen. Not without major repercussions. And every parent can understand, or if you're you can harken back to your memory from your childhood, we've all profoundly disappointed our parents a time or two.
Man.
You always know it's different. It's different than they're just mad for the moment. Like, oh, why did you do that? Don't do that. That's a different kind of mad than we need to talk.
Yeah, I carry it with me to this day. It'll be, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago. And my mom got me a video game for my birthday, and it was hidden. And
it still bothers you. You've told me this 10 times, and I agree with you. I love it.
I'm going to take it to my deathbed,
well,
man.
It's okay. I think she forgave you.
Like 7 times she has.
Yeah.
But I can't forgive myself.
Rotten child.
I can't. She hid the game well. I couldn't find it. I was very good at finding gifts before they were given to me, and it was NHL 95 on Super Nintendo. And my response was, I already have that.
Oh, man.
You see the hurt in her eyes because she was so happy to give that gift. She was
proud of herself.
You little piece of crap.
Well, also, you didn't read the moment. You didn't read
it.
You didn't read.
She sent me with my sister. She didn't take me. She sent me with my sister to Toys R Us to exchange it. To this day, what a rotten child.
Yeah.
I know. McConaughey.
Yeah. Hey,
that was my dad with his Marlboro Reds. Like, well,
that's what you
say to your mother, huh? All right.
But it's true. There are those moments, and it hits harder. It's the hardest thing in the world because, and conversely, I've had to do the thing where I've pulled in both my kids. Both my boys have had a couple of these in their short lives where I've had to pull them into a room and be like, "Oh, you're going to listen to me. This is different. This isn't Dad's kind of mad. Now listen to me." And then it happens. And you can see their face like, well, this is different. Dad's never done this before. Dad sounds like he may throw me through that window.
Our ass is in the jackpot now, okay?
Like, this is a different tone. There is a look on his face. This is, I'm a little nervous.
After you're done and you say, you boys go outside and throw the football or something, I don't want to see you. The conversation is very simple from Bryce to Clark.
Yeah.
Our ass is in the jackpot now, okay?
It's just sort of a, whoo, okay. Note to self, never do that again. Never say that again.
Our ass is in the jackpot now, okay?
Never talk back to Dad or Mom in that way again. It's just that moment. If you're lucky enough to have come along late like you did, and one of my dear friends, Matt Britton, was like the last of 3 boys, and he said he got to sit in the backseat and just watch all the things that they screwed up and knew, I won't do that. I won't do that then. Yeah, that's good.
My man. Yes. 3 older sisters, and they are 8, 11, and 13 years apart from me. And some of the wars, the first one with my oldest and my mom was about moving from New York and displacing her out of high school where she had found a niche to Florida. That was a war. And the extended war was the long distance phone bills that came with it as she was going to talk to her friends every day.
Yeah.
All the way down through when my youngest sister, my mom, and the Toyota Privia that I mentioned over the weekend, there were some knockdown dragouts. And I learned. I just took notes. As a kindergartner, I said, that's not going to work. I won't try that. And I was better for it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you can get bogged down in the relentless and overwhelming, in the day and age of social media especially, the need to relitigate and to go back over step by step every mistake that was made. They made personnel mistakes. They made
situational mistakes.
Well, a ton of situational mistakes. They made time management mistakes. I mean, they did about everything wrong that you could do in a game like this that led to that opportunity even existing. That tells you how overwhelmingly favorite and better off they were than Jacksonville State to have incurred and made those kinds of mistakes possession by possession over a long period. Because if the game ends with Florida State on top, we're still coming in and ripping them. We're still coming in and saying that was a team that was not motivated. That's a coach that didn't have a good feel for his team and didn't have them prepared to play. That was horrific execution. I mean, we're talking about how bad the game was regardless. But yes, you get the added bonus of losing to an FCS school on a play that defies logic.
This is a tough one for me. I think they were motivated. I just think they were failed in the game in the course of the 60 minutes from install through the end of the game and how situations were managed and how the game was prepared. the plan for it. I thought the players played relatively hard. Like,
Yeah.
if you compare this to the disasters against ULM and Sanford, games we won, by the way, in Willie's time, I watched that game aghast about everything, culture, effort, everything top on down. In this game, I was thinking to myself, my God, why are we so poorly prepared for this moment? Not these guys don't care. Big difference. Big difference. And then when we end up at 17-14, they have the illegal man downfield, gives us another try. Then they go to RPO and score, make it 17-14. We get the ball. I'm like, wow. So you've got to go ahead and acquit yourself by getting a couple of first downs. We got to do this now. Like, we're really in this
now
situation.
you're in the spot to do this again. Yeah.
Then we get stopped on 3rd and short, and we have to punt with a minute and a half to go. Oh, so now the game's really in danger.
Yeah.
Now it's really in danger. Because those other games, it was in danger for all 60 minutes. Like, I don't know how we won. In this instance, it was the outcome of the game was not in danger until they score and get it to 3, and it's late in the game to go, oh, so this could happen.
We'll see. Again, I think that you're at a crossroads here pretty early on in your time at Florida State. I believe that we're going to see a team that, listen, first of all, it's not a good team. They're not, we said this in the preseason. We said it before the year began. Being out there at practice, you can see huge holes. They're not a good team. The thought was you might be good enough with 2 what we called automatic wins, Jacksonville State and UMass. All right, so that's 2 automatic wins. Now you only have to legitimately win 4. Might you be able to win a game against Wake Forest or Boston College, Syracuse, and Louisville? Yeah, you could win those 4 games. That gets you to 6. It's not that hard. That's not crazy logic. That's okay. They're good enough. They're middling enough. They could do that. But you just threw an automatic. You just threw a 1 out the window.
Our ass is in the jackpot now, okay?
And in the process, eliminated all the goodwill that people had bought into. You just worry, and you got to watch carefully. Recruits, players.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what I think or what you think or the guy that goes to the game. I mean, it matters ultimately, but it doesn't matter too much. It matters what those players think. It matters what those recruits think.
And the boosters. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what?
You're fielding questions now that you never should have fielded before.
It's unbelievable. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A crash shut down southbound lanes of travel on Capitol Circle Southeast near Barcelona Lane Saturday afternoon. According to Tallahassee police, the 2-vehicle crash resulted in injuries, including life-threatening wounds to a woman and minor injuries to another woman and a boy. Southbound lanes remain closed for hours as officers work the scene, which is located just north of Blairstone Road. The crash is currently still under investigation. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is sharing new details about a teenager wanted on murder charges. According to JCSO, 15-year-old Christian Benisi is wanted in connection to a double homicide that occurred August 23rd, just outside Monticello city limits. Deputies say the teen was seen firing a weapon at the scene located in the 1300 block of East Clark Avenue. The 2 victims were males in their early 20s. There is now a $10,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest. Anyone with information can contact Big Ben Crime Stoppers at 850-574-TIPS. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 89. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 72. Tonight, partly cloudy. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 87. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. Mid-80s Wednesday, upper 80s by Thursday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 84.
See Nice Tire and Auto Service at 4792 Bluntstown Highway today. The ASE trained technicians at Nice take the guesswork out of fixing your car. That's why wherever you see the Goodyear sign, you'll find what you want in tires and service. From preventative maintenance to a major overhaul and everything in between, you name it. Plus, Nice's services are backed by a nationwide limited warranty. Stop by Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results? Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Greg Tish, Real Talk 93.3.
Hey, everybody, this is Greg Tish. Thank you so much for listening to Real Talk 93.3. Don't forget, you can check out me and Maddie Rowe every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on The Greg Tish Show. Wake up with a smile with The Greg Tish Show. How's that sound, Maddie Rowe? Is that a good promo for you?
That's good enough for me.
Is that good? Are we
It's
at
good for
30
everybody.
seconds yet?
Right about now.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
As soon as they pop thing, Tom. Got to get these babies lined up.
It's a good weekend for the house, I do believe, right?
Woo! 1 week after getting crushed by the public, Vegas does what Vegas does and wins big. Wins big. Thankfully, my man Lee Sterling handed over that 50-unit play, and I played it and covered by one.
Yeah,
Carolina.
Wasn't off by 8 points.
The problem is they're up 19-7 or whatever. I mean, they're dominating the game.
They did fumble going in early in the game, too.
Yes,
but that's
they did.
why,
it's football. Happens. Some interesting things to note there. Our suspicion, I mentioned it last week, but our suspicion that Jameis would play well over in Jacksonville, that New Orleans would look good. Woo. Yeah, a little 38-3. They have some problems at Green Bay. They may have some coach quarterback issues.
That's a damn shame.
What tragic to see it play out that way.
Different messages in the post-game interviews from Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, where Aaron said, I think his response was, I wouldn't say what Matt said. One game. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it was an interesting offseason, so we're all watching. There it is. Hey, the thought that Ohio State's defense would take a huge step back this year and was on the verge of struggling. Yep, that is unbelievable how easily Oregon got the edge anytime they wanted. I mean, really anything they wanted was there for them early and often in that game. It's a testament to Ohio State's offense and the 484 passing yards from C.J. Stroud that suggests they'll be in every game and have a chance to win the vast majority of them in the Big Ten. But there's your wow result of the weekend, at least in terms of Oregon going in and outright winning the game. Not covering, but outright winning the game.
Yeah, Ohio State made some offensive adjustments, and Stroud made a lot of really impressive throws. But I thought even Ohio State's offensive line was a little questionable given what Oregon didn't have. I was like, okay, so you're telling me that they can stop the run?
Yeah,
a little
Thibodeau
bit here.
missing the game is what you're referring to. And
Correct.
What you do see, though, and we mentioned this last week, and I didn't bet this game at all, but I was interested to watch it because Oregon is recruited really well, and they have team speed. If you've watched them the last 2 years, one of the things that has stood out is while there may have been areas of weakness, you thought they are fast. They can run with these elite teams, and that proved to be the case in this game. They can run. Like Verdell and those guys, they can go.
Yeah, so Ohio State's defensive line, red flag.
Linebackers, and they got problems.
Notre Dame's offensive line, 5 red flags. That's not Notre Dame like we've known it.
And again, it gets us back to our result.
That was around 5 o'clock that afternoon where you're going,
okay.
Yeah.
Also, there's a letdown factor, and I do think that happened with both teams. But yes,
Right.
there are actual deficiencies of personnel. Sure.
I still felt buoyed in the moment by that game because I thought Notre Dame's defense looked all right. Toledo scored a couple touchdowns, one directly on a turnover, another with a short field that comes off of a turnover. So I thought, okay, well, I feel all right about the offense. And they went right down the field. We did. Keyshawn Heldon, 4th down, wide open, and then it was gone. Then it's gone.
I see the Texas A&M fans got a taste of that, oh, my God, Jimbo's doing it again moment there. A little 10-7 win over Colorado that they damn well could have and should have lost. Yeah. There's he's good for one of those at least once a year, maybe 2. And
they didn't know what to run with a backup quarterback. It's like they didn't prepare for that.
Which makes no sense because those two battled it out in camp nose to nose and were coming down to the wire before he made the announcement. So I do understand.
Well,
it's not like that guy didn't get reps.
The kid was rat trapping because they showed the sideline interactions 3 or 4 times.
I actually had to give Fisher credit. He was calm trying to talk him through that. The second time. The first time he lost his mind. The second time he was kind of like, listen to me.
Right.
Listen to me.
He's Tom Hanks in a league of their own.
Yeah. You need to listen to me.
Work on your fundamentals in the offseason.
Yeah. It is. He's kind of like, okay, all right, listen to me. It's there. Trust me, it's there. I'm going to need you to make that throw. Yeah, that was there.
And then Elko couldn't get their defense off the field on third downs. They converted a lot of third downs to Colorado. You wouldn't know it in the final score, but what does that do? It provides the body blows where they're running out of gas in the second half.
Iowa wins the Cy-Hawk yet again.
Congratulations to Iowa for winning the Cy-Hawk trophy with a resounding win in Ames.
Which is every year. They win the Cy-Hawk every year. If you're Iowa State, you're about sick of this broken record. Come on, Matt Campbell. Let's go, baby.
At some point.
Everybody's darling. You got to win that game at some point.
Can you eventually win the Cy-Hawk trophy?
Well, and we had the under, and that played as well as getting the 4.5. That'll work.
It got a little close.
That
total
close.
did.
Got a little close.
Oh, really?
Got a little close.
Little pick six action. All right.
Got a little close.
That doesn't help.
Unfortunately, and we'll see how this plays out, and I know we got to go to break, but there were 2 moments, 2 things that I witnessed that I thought, well, this is problematic. Florida figured out that Richardson, which is what I was telling you, is actually the guy. Can't be Emory Jones ever. Can't be. And luckily he tweaked his hamstring on a wish injury upon the kid, but we'll see. I mean, he's not – we'll see if he plays. This is going to be an interesting week against Alabama, obviously. But he's a good player, and he's going to have to be their starter, and I think they probably figured that out because he played well. The other thing that happened is Texas is us. Texas is us. They're just going to hold out hope and think we're close. We're going to be there. It's going to be great. It's going to be, we're getting our ass beat by Arkansas.
Mr. Pittman says, woohoo, Pig Suey. No crying about it.
Not only woohoo, Pig Suey, they dropped 40. And that perhaps is the more damning comparison. Norvell, Pittman. And look what just happened in Arkansas against Texas. Look what just happened against Jacksonville State.
I don't want to.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3. Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
If you know me, you know how I feel about supporting local. You also know that I love dad jokes. So it really bugs me when somebody I know calls anyone other than Paul's Termite and Pest Control. This year marks 50 years that Paul's has been servicing our community as a family-owned business. That really means something. All treatment decisions are made right here, not some corporate headquarters 100 miles away, but right here. Local knowledge means they know exactly when and how to beat certain issues that are unique to our region. All decisions about North Florida made by North Floridians, and being local doesn't always mean small. Paul's is the largest locally owned termite, pest, and lawn company in the region, but you'll always get the small town treatment and quick service also. Paul's offers a same-day treatment guarantee if you call by noon. If you see something in the morning that's not supposed to be in your house, call Paul's and they'll get them all that same afternoon. It's that easy. For the elimination of termites or any other pest, and for a greener lawn too, visit callpauls.com.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk radio show. Tune in every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. where I provide clear answers to all your questions about Medicare.
When the forgotten poor are in need of healing, they wait for a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, a floating hospital staffed by volunteers, heroes of mercy who donate their time to save lives.
Every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see the smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money, but then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who saved in 2019.
While other gun stores come and go, Red Hills Arms remains Tallahassee's go-to local gun store for all your firearms needs. And Red Hills Arms, they're right on target. Stop by today and get welcomed in like family.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Hey, let's hear a question and answer real quick before we finish up this first hour. We got a little time here. I want to get to this because I was kind of curious. It's an opportunity for Mike Norvell to answer a question spiritedly and to talk a little bit about what's the standard and what they accept and don't accept.
We'll have about 30 seconds on the other side of it.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting. I want to comment on the other side. So go ahead and play this.
I've never had a good feeling loss. Never. I've never experienced that. And for us, I do believe in the character and the heart of our kids. I believe in the culture of what we do. And the fact that we didn't quit against Notre Dame, yeah, that's minimum expectations. The fact that we play hard, right? That's minimum expectations. Right? I believe in these kids because I know what they invest. I know what they work. I know how much it hurts whenever you come up short. Notre Dame, Jacksonville State. Like, I see it. I live it. Like, that's the part of these kids that, I mean, they work extremely hard in this program. And it's also what's, so disappointing and so heartbreaking when you see, things that show up that are uncharacteristic of how we train and what we do. We have to learn how to overcome that. And I don't care who you play. It does not matter. It didn't matter the first week. It sure as crap didn't matter last week. We have to go out there and play, coach, and execute to how we train. And if we do that, then once again, I don't give a crap who we play. It won't matter because I believe in what these kids, who they are, what they're about. But obviously that is not occurring, and we are not doing that for 60 minutes, right, to level. So yes, the first week, and we lost a game that I believe we should have won. Right? Same thing happened Saturday night. The first week, people are happy that we played hard. Well, that's going to be the standard. We're going to play hard. And we are going to if when bad things happen, we have got to be able to trust the training of what we do 365 days a year so that we can not have those distractions or mishaps or lack of mistakes in the moment when things get tough. But this football team's not going to quit. And, from all the things that have happened and the examples that we get to point back to.
Yeah, you can cut them there. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Really quickly, I mean, obviously, every coach and every player understands that it is minimum effort to try, to compete, to play hard, to care enough to fight all the way through the game. But we don't always see it. We don't always see it, especially not around here. We haven't. So, yeah, I mean, I understand why when you're facing a top 10 team, at least that was the number next to their name when they came in here, and you get down 18 points and you fight all the way back in the fourth quarter to tie it up, that some fans are going to feel good about that. But you're right. It's bare minimum effort, the standard that you have to compete. So you don't get brownie points for competing, and you don't get brownie points for not giving up. That's true. That's accurate. But the part about execution and the way that they prepare and all that, yeah, I think that is traditionally, I think that's probably true for this group. I think that will be accurate throughout the rest of the season if they haven't called it a day after this devastating loss. But they didn't look prepared here, Mike. That's the problem. That team didn't look prepared for this game. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Capital City, first on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The United Nations hosting a high-level donors conference to drum up emergency funds for Afghanistan after the Taliban takeover. In a UN speech, German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas says the world must continue helping Afghans, announcing Germany will increase aid for Afghanistan.
After 20 years of engagement, the international community and Germany in particular have a moral obligation to continue helping the Afghan people. That is why Germany is significantly stepping up its humanitarian assistance for Afghanistan and its neighboring countries.
There are concerns that instability and upended humanitarian efforts, compounded by an ongoing drought, could endanger lives and plunge that country toward famine. Secretary of State Blinken preparing to face tough congressional questioning this week over the Biden administration's handling of the military withdrawal from Afghanistan. In separate House and Senate hearings, lawmakers are expected to grill Blinken on the Biden administration's response to the quick collapse of the Afghan government, and more specifically to the State Department's response. The department has come under heavy criticism from both Republicans and Democrats. Also at townhall.com, the Biden administration says it will give $482 million to aviation manufacturers to help save jobs at companies that are still struggling because of the pandemic.
The Transportation Department says companies getting the money must not lay off workers or cut their pay. The government says the money will protect up to 22,500 jobs. The pandemic caused a sharp drop in air travel that reduced demand for new planes.
Correspondent Jeremy House, an estimated 100,000 aerospace jobs have been lost since the start of the pandemic. Stocks mix the Dow up 124 points, but the NASDAQ is down 41. More at townhall.com.
One listener that stands out that I worked with was this older couple that was interested in refinancing. They reached out to a few different lenders. Their credit wasn't the best. I know some of these other bigger banks, you just won't hear back from them, which I cannot stand. Not everybody has the 780 credit scores. And just because you don't qualify at one time doesn't mean that you'll never qualify. I'll walk you through what you have to do, whether it's 2, 3, 6 months from now. Back to that older couple, we worked with them for months and months to improve their credit. And we were able to get the loan done. We were saving them hundreds each month, thousands of dollars a year, finally got themselves into a situation financially that they can handle and they could start saving money each month for retirement. End of the day, they just could not be happier, which just put a huge smile on my face.
We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Faith Mortgage is a DBA of United Mortgage Corp. 25 Middle Park Road, Milton, New York. Licensed mortgage banker. For all licensing information, go to NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Corporate NMLS number 1330. Equal housing lender. Licensed in Alaska, Hawaii, Georgia, Massachusetts, North Dakota, South Dakota, or Utah.
Crawfordville Auto and Tire. Crawfordville Auto and Tire. Oh, hey there. I was just singing the praises of Crawfordville Auto and Tire. They do just about everything. Complete engine rebuilds, brakes, shocks, tires, oil change, you name it, they do it. And they offer a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty on all parts and labor. Most of the time, they can service your car the same day and offer towing to help you get to the shop. Now that's something to sing about. Open weekdays from 7:30 in the morning until 6 at night. Crawfordville Auto Repair and Tires.
These recruiting updates are nothing but fluff.
Are you wasting your time again on free blogs and social media to get the scoop on FSU recruiting?
Yeah, it's all bait and switch. You're on Warchant.com. What's really going on with FSU recruiting?
Could be another top 5 class, but for the real scoop, you'll need to get your own Warchant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer. Just sign up and you'll get full access through signing day. And nobody has more accurate and timely information than Warchant.com.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
of negativity, disconnect, anger, disbelief, that maybe you see a team go and absolutely go through the motions, and then it's over. The season's over, grand opening, grand closing, and that Mike Norvell's in trouble. I was talking about, and I don't mean to be fired at the end of the year, because that's not going to happen. But I would tell you that we and I said it last hour, they're at a crossroads now, and it really was unnecessary, but it doesn't matter. It happened, and we went through it, and I gave you my thoughts on what that means, what that represents, how it happened, how embarrassing it is, and what a ugly moment for him as a coach and for this staff. You can't undo it. And we know from just normal fan reaction after a upset loss or a devastating loss or an embarrassing, humiliating, however you want to describe it, loss, that's what we do. That's what everybody who talks about the games, the players and the coaches do, is spend a lot of time in the 48 hours, 72 hours after a game like that, discussing the many reasons it happened, how could it happen, what should happen now, who's at fault, who should be fired, who should be hired, what do we do now? They're not afforded that luxury. He has to, and I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear what kind of honest dialogue has taken place between him, his coaches after this game in those offices, and those players whom they did not put in the best position to succeed on numerous occasions in this game. And players understand that. Players know. Players aren't fans of being the ones who are ruthlessly criticized after a poor schematic effort, a poor game plan, even in a game-ending situation like that, where clearly the coaches failed them and they made mental and physical errors. It's tough if you're a kid to have to hear that over the next 48 hours, as they no doubt will and have. But is it enough to fracture the bonds that grew from the spring into the fall camp, into that locker room where day in and day out, the buy-in was there, obviously. The effort has been there, and we've seen this team look better at times. I would tell you, defensively, Tom, the weirdest thing about this game is if you go back and look at just the numbers, purely look at the numbers, prior to the final two drives, and you can't dismiss them, but prior to those two drives, Florida State's defense did what they needed to do to provide the opportunity for the offense to pull away. Offense just never did. This is an offensive failure, this game. A miserable offensive failure.
With the cherry on top of an unbelievable and inexcusable call in the final play of the game. Final two plays, really.
Yeah.
And that's where it stinks.
It is the cherry on top, indeed.
And it's a massive cherry. I mean, it's like the size of a water tower. And that's what stinks about this game is how many times did we say when the offense failed, be it, the goal line situation where you call a fade on 4th and goal, or the many times we punted. Boy, I'm glad the defense is handling business tonight, or we could really be in trouble. How many times did we say that? Quite a few. But by the end of the night, you undid everything when it comes to Adam Fuller, who was having a nice couple of weeks against expectations and against the issues and the hot seat that we had for him in the offseason. It was going to be one of my topics on the postgame show that we were still getting late signals and there was late communication at the snap way too often for a game plan that should have been vanilla. And that's what this game plan should have been. And to a degree, it really was. But that would have been underneath the surface, which is, hey, all right, spirited, physical, together efforts out of the defense 2 weeks in a row. Instead, now you're asking fundamental questions across the board.
Well, one of which is, how in the world are you in that formation? I mean, in a million years, you wouldn't be able to explain how we were in that formation.
2-man under.
It's crazy to think about.
That's what he said in the day.
Well, that's what he said. And even if you think he's wrong, or that he was hiding the fact that they were in an even worse coverage, which is the one robber, which I have not seen the All-22, so I don't know.
On the penultimate play, I suspect maybe that's what happened, but it's hard. That ACC network broadcast is a travesty.
Hey, by the way, as an aside, God dog it. That network is an embarrassment to networks everywhere. Okay. What are we doing?
So I won't get as fired up about it as I did in the moments after the game.
It's unwatchable.
But everything about that experience Saturday night, if you weren't in the stands, and if you were, that was your own special brand of hell, was why it's horrible to be a Florida State football fan in 2021, because you have you can't assume anything about any opponent, and we get taught that lesson over and over again. Even though this one played out differently than Stanford and ULM, the result was worse somehow. The way the game is officiated with targeting, what isn't targeting, the involvement of these officials, and that guy got kicked out of the SEC and he sucks at his job.
Yeah.
And then you have the ACC network, which is its own brand of suck. And what really stinks about it, man, for me,
special kind of suck.
I've got the app. It didn't even post on the home screen of the app until well after kickoff. I joined the game 2 plays in, and I was searching for it for 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
No, they struggle, man. They struggle. The broadcast team struggled. Everything about it is a toughie.
They replay review for 2.5. Well, sorry, not replay review. They go to a TV timeout for 2.5 minutes. Anytime somebody has a cramp, that's what's wrong with college football today. So the officiating, the TV, our football program, in no particular order, we had to sit through that for a game that took 4 hours. It should have taken 3.25 at most. Everything about what sucks to be a college football fan and FSU fan reared its head on Saturday night. It was terrible.
I wonder, though, I will say this. I've gotten, because it happened again on Saturday across the country. This is not just our game, but I saw a lot of complaints again. And I witnessed a few moments where I thought we really are finally going to have to address this targeting thing. We're really going to have to address this. For example, Penn State will be playing Auburn in what is one of the better games of the weekend coming up. And it's really commendable, by the way, that you have Auburn going to Beaver Stadium there and taking on Penn State in an out of conference game. I mean, we're not at a neutral site nonsense money grab. You're going there. It's a whiteout, 107,000 people. That's going to be a lot of fun. But Penn State is going to be missing a pretty important player due to a targeting foul. And he'll be missing the first half. We're going to be missing a pretty important player due to a targeting foul. So I am kind of curious if at some point we're going to get a closer look at all this stuff and whether or not we're going to see some rules changes, because booting guys out of a game, booting guys out for a half on questionable calls, it's got to stop.
To follow up real quick, a little bit of breaking news, something you'd suspect because we talked about the two deep.
I brought it up in the first hour, yeah.
Dante Lucas was not on it. Well, a university spokesman has confirmed to Warchant that he is no longer part of the program.
Yeah,
and it went from he wasn't on the two deep, then he wasn't on the website. If you look at the numerical roster, and now there's confirmation. So one of your offensive linemen is gone.
Well, he had to go. I don't think it was there was any question. They didn't do it because of me, but I basically called for that at the beginning of the show. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing to that guy? It's absurd.
That determination was probably made sooner.
Oh, I think it was probably made like during the game.
Yeah, we don't need to litigate all that just because it was breaking news. Sorry, we can get back to bashing the general game. And you know what's interesting is I thought that the McClendon forced fumble, which turned this game on its head too,
was more of a target.
Yes, 100% it was.
Well, and by the way,
if you're going by that letter of the law, I'm not saying what ought to be. I'm saying by the letter of the law, you're going to toss Deloach and not McClendon?
Well, when I watched the play, I went, oh boy. Under these Mickey Mouse rules, he's in trouble. I thought for sure
he shoves them. I mean,
I thought no, but I'm saying I thought they would buzz down.
Yeah.
But no, on the fumble, right? Yeah.
Yep. Because it took forever too. They went to break, and I was like, oh, they're going to come back, and they're in the booth or something. Yeah.
No, man, we got to let people play football. It's weird to watch the contrast. I watched a ton of NFL yesterday, as did you. To watch the contrast between what happens in college and pro football in terms of that particular rule in the implementation of, or the enforcement of, I should say, of that rule. In pro football, the refs understand this is a game played at warp speed by giant individuals who defy logic physically. And we understand angles and guys adjusting to a football in the air, and we get intent, and we get that, hey, the reason they're wearing helmets is there's a good chance that they're going to collide in a way that if they weren't, they'd die. So we get it. We understand.
Yeah, I was having kind of a night sweats of a moment when I was watching. Thankfully, the place I was at, friend of ours, had 3 televisions yesterday, and on the big screen was the Vikings, because maybe that was, the team of choice.
Tough loss.
Well, the Vikings had double-digit penalties in the first half with another 5 declined, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do this. I've got to focus on another screen. I can't live this again, because for 4 hours on Saturday night, Gary Patterson, not the TCU coach, that's the dude's name. Every play. You couldn't have a play.
No.
And then Jacksonville State, I don't know how they fielded a team by the end of the game. They had like 24 injury timeouts. I guess they were all legitimate. But every time the ACC network's like, all right, let's play this ID fraud commercial and then give you the loop of the ACC network. We'll be back shortly thing for 3 hours. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Everybody was desperate to look away. The product was ugly. Let's just look away. Give me something else.
I told Gene, I was like, man, I grew up in Nole, then I came here, and now I cover it. So on 3 levels, I was invested in that game. Maybe, as a businessman here in town as well. A lot of people invested in this game. It was hard to watch, even though I'm paid to do it, and I love that team. It's hard to watch.
If Florida State had won the game 20-7, 17-7, whatever, okay, they just won the game. We would still be sitting here saying that was an unwatchable game. That really was, both because both teams aren't very good, and Florida State played horribly, especially on offense. Secondly, those officials were hell-bent on throwing flags every chance they could. That also made it unwatchable. Just the product was disgusting. So it adds to the ledger of reasons that you're disgusted by a performance that's unforgivable.
And then you've got announcers who don't know players' names and yucking it up. I'm like, thanks, Wes. I'm glad you brought the book of dad jokes with you instead of, knowing the roster. But whatever.
I've had a chance to go back and watch a lot of other games, and that includes the Miami narrow escape over Appalachian State. If we're looking around the ACC, Virginia lays it to Illinois 42-14. Imagine you're a Nebraska fan right about now after that. I mean, we are akin. I mean, it's amazing. It's hard to fathom the similarities. Now, different times in terms of investment and tenure, but God dog it. It is remarkable.
Now here's Charlie. He's chosen a different path. This path includes success, victories, winning.
Oh, man. And we'll have time, over the coming days, but I'm going to tell you why I think, and we'll do it more tomorrow than we do today, because today is dedicated, this one time dedicated
one more
to this unwatchable affair and gruesome defeat. But tomorrow I will start to lay out the reasons I think that Florida State beats Wake.
Gene used a picture that Joe Bucks fan would be very happy about in describing the game. He said there was something on the field, And unfortunately, in this situation, this is so different to me than previous games that are like this in the last handful of years. Be a broken record about it. But I feel like the players were ready to go more than the coaches were. That wasn't the case the last few times this happened. You're like, oh, nobody's ready. So nobody's ready to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That's awesome. Syracuse, ULM, Stanford. In this case, the defense was ready to go. The offense was inconsistent, but it didn't look like they were ill-prepared. The game plan was just like, whoa, what are we doing?
Yeah, well, I would say the game plan counts in being ill-prepared. They were doing a lot of cheeky things for no reason. I mean, the reason is that you want Wake to have to prepare for more things, but you have to go secure the win first. You have to go out there and dominate the game and then start to experiment with some things. So they failed the kids in that regard.
But player investment-wise, I wasn't like, man, they didn't care to be here
they
tonight.
weren't lacking effort. That's correct. They weren't lacking effort. We would have pointed that out pretty quickly. And they certainly weren't lacking effort. What sucks for Fuller, which, by the way, I get totally ripping him today, if in fact that's the call at the end, especially, but he undoes the good from most of the game. The offense hung the defense out to dry all night long.
That's the name of this game, the great undoing.
It's unreal.
If it ends up being...
If it's 17-7 and you win the game because your offense screwed around all night experimenting with things and getting behind the chains because of stupid penalties, then you say, okay, well, listen, this is 2 weeks in a row. Adams kind of had them ready to play here. Look, they could have made some plays in the secondary last week against Notre Dame, no doubt, but they completely shut down that run game. And in this game, they're dominating the offensive line of Jacksonville State. Now they should, it's not an overwhelming thing to do, but they did. They dominated that team. And then the last 2 drives of the game are, one of them's 97 yards and the other one is 80 something yards. And the final play is the final play. You just undid everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, and we have been marked by a defensive line with a lot of players who wouldn't show up week in and week out.
That's what last year was about.
In this circumstance, you saw the consistency, so you'd be happy with that, and it should be the talking point about the defense, what you're talking about, which is largely this is improved. Instead, now you pair two plays from Saturday night, this most recent game, The second to last one, in which Mike Norvell confirmed today on the record that somebody was wide the hell open. The quarterback didn't see it.
They beat him on an inside release. That's why they were buoyed about the last play, because they could see that Florida State didn't know what they were doing.
The final play call, of course. And then you combine that with 3rd and 17 last week, and you call an all out against an obvious screen and draw situation. And now you're focusing on those things.
It's going to hurt your case.
A lot.
Well, and people were suspect to begin with, understandably, because they weren't coordinated a year ago. So it's 2 fingers to 2 fingers, man. That's over and over again.
It's like your approval rating was like 5. You've worked it all the way back up into the 40s, and then you do a hit on a cable news channel, and there's a swastika in the background. You know? Like, oh, great.
That's that.
Great.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, we're done here. Oh, Ira Schafel, Warchant.com, going to join us next.
Hi, Chris Kraft for the Kraft Brothers dealerships. At Kraft Nissan, we've been amazed at the number of Toyota and Honda people trading up to Nissan's new family of SUVs. The changes are stunning. And don't just take my word for it. Motor Trend tagged Rogue as the 2021 SUV of the Year finalist, adding that Rogue can go toe-to-toe with Honda and Toyota. Well, guess what, Tallahassee? We can't keep the new Rogues on the showroom floor. Seriously, if you haven't seen one for yourself, come take a test drive and you'll see the new Rogue sells itself. In the 2022 Nissan Pathfinder, it's roomier, quicker, and better equipped. Plus, the second row seats easily slide and flip forward to allow access to the third row, even with a child seat installed. And finally, Car and Driver says savvy shoppers will be surprised by the new Armada's luxuriousness. So I encourage SUV lovers to come see the new Nissan family of SUVs. And everyone knows that Nissan SUVs have more standard equipment than the competition. The award-winning Rogue, Pathfinder, and Armada, only at Kraft Nissan, Mahan Drive, Tallahassee.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Witch Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Witch Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Summertime is color time. This summer, why not spend your time off with a home improvement project? You can use this time to try one of the most popular DIY projects, painting. And you can find your favorite color with one of America's most popular paints, Benjamin Moore. Shop for all the best paint colors and paint supplies at Epps Decorating Center with 2 convenient locations in town. Find out more online at epsdecorating.com. Welcome to Tallulah Talk After Hours, your home for all things CBD. Tonight, we're talking about the benefits of CBD personal lubricants, CBD massage oils, romantic CBD scented candles, chocolates, and even CBD bath bombs. Did you know CBD lubricants can lead to increased sensitivity, resulting in longer and stronger experiences? What's left to talk about? Get yours today at Tallulah CBD on Market Street and now open in Bannerman Crossings. Thanks for listening to Tallulah Talk After Hours.
Nya nya nya. Zimbabwe. The broken Bunsen burner burns so bright. Southeast Asian Peninsula.
Hey, Jamie.
Yes.
I think the only line we need from you today is drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Cool. I just got to finish my warm-ups. Foul, throw in the towel. History.
Switch to Progressive today.
Santa ski slalom in a salmon skin suit.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You, because I know that we were all in need of some schadenfreude. Did you at least take solace in the fact that Djokovic got beaten straight sets?
I couldn't believe it. We were talking yesterday. You said he's down 2 sets, and I think it was 3-0 in the third.
Yeah, he was on his way out. Yeah.
But I'd seen that song and dance so much over the last 5 years where he'll battle back and like something changes and goes his way. And for the next hour and a half, he outclasses the opponent and wins. So I wasn't comfortable calling it over when we spoke. And once I saw, in fact, that it was straight sets, good. Hope it's the last time he makes a final. That'd be great.
The chances that that's the last final he makes are pretty slim and
I understand.
He's gonna make a lot more, man. He's good. He's good.
You know, I was complaining about some of the circumstances on the drive over to our friends yesterday, and I had a realization, maybe with the help of my lovely wife. The last 12 months, my professional teams have hoisted 3 world championships.
Right. So you can't, yeah.
So I've got to put that down. As we were going to watch the Vikings play, you know, I got to put that down for a little bit.
You were going to watch the Vikings play and lose to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I thought of all those whose teams didn't get a win in week 1, like the Bucks did get a win in week 1. And you know, my buddy Matt, Chicago Bears get pummeled last night.
Oh, man.
His wife.
Stafford looks sharp.
Yeah. Well, the Rams are the problem.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a while. The Rams are the problem.
That's week 3. So we play the Falcons this week, and then we go out to play the Rams in 2 weeks to the Bucks.
Tough day at the office for your Atlanta Falcons, everybody. My goodness gracious. They got their ass beat by Philadelphia.
Jalen Hurts looked like an MVP.
He looked like a very good quarterback in that moment in time.
That throw to Devonta Smith was that's a nice little throw.
You know what wasn't nice? And I just can't understand how it happened this way, but they come right out the gates, throwing the ball around the lot. Does Atlanta driving right down the field with 2 drives, and they come away with a couple field goals, and that'll hurt your feelings. You got to do better than that. And you know, obviously, I'm speaking from a man who had certain players like Calvin Ridley.
See. That didn't make sense otherwise, given
Calvin Ridley has 3 receptions on the first drive for 39 yards. He finishes with 5 for like 50. What are we doing in Atlanta? Sucking. That's what we're doing in Atlanta. That's unbelievable. Come on, fellas. Now, I'm not a Falcons fan, but geez.
And Washington's defense, I noticed, kept them in the ball game, even though old man Fitz is hurt.
Yeah. But
Heineke comes in, and that defense is so good, you can hold a 3-point lead late with holding Justin Herbert to 13 points.
Yeah, except for that Justin Herbert final drive is like 15 plays or 12 plays.
It is
sweet.
That's what you should do, though, in a situation where that offense has nothing. At some point, you've got to outlast them, but I'm just so impressed by that football team defense.
I'm also thinking about the only other defensive coordinator who might be under more pressure than Adam Fuller here in Tallahassee, and that would be there at Ohio State, because the evidence that Jeff Hafley did a much better job while at Ohio State, now head coach of Boston College, than the situation they find themselves in now. I mean, that is, woo! They were ordinary last year on defense, and now they look like they're just playing bad.
Straight bad. Just awful.
But if you're Kerry Coombs, I mean, hello? That is, what are we doing here?
Oh, the phone lines are lighting up in Columbus today about that guy.
Yeah, they are. That is very quietly the program that impressed me the most over the weekend besides Oregon was, in fact, Arkansas just laying the wood to Texas. That was a big win for a program that hasn't had a big win in an awful long time. So, and that place was packed. They haven't sold out a game in 4 years, so I can only imagine the energy there. It would have been a kind of a fun game to see. But yeah, this just a look around, just a wrap around there. Let's bring our buddy in, Irashfel, Warchant.com. If you missed it last night, Sunday Smash, myself, Ira, and a interactive show on Warchant TV. So we'll do that every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. I got to believe, and I hope, certainly I do, Ira, that next Sunday, a more jovial effort from us, a more relaxed, fun effort in which we smile and talk a little bit more about something positive, only if, of course, this team can find a way to get off the mat and win a game. You there, buddy? All right. I've lost him.
Sounds like he's there in the background. I will attempt it once again.
It sounded like there was a dog very upset with what was happening around him, and Ira is scurrying to get right. Let's go. We'll try this again. Yeah, now we'll do it. Ira, you there, buddy?
I'm here.
Okay. Boom. Gotcha. So what do you think? Next Sunday night on the Smash, we're talking about the big win, the first win of the year. Noles riding the ship after as disastrous a loss as we've seen in a long time.
I wouldn't put money on it, but I wouldn't rule it out either. I mean, it's a big week. I mean, this is I really think it's a huge week to see how they respond. And even if they play well, there's no guarantee they're going to win the football game.
Correct.
It's not a game where you just say, okay, Florida State's focused and wants to be there. This isn't one of those years. But I mean, so to me, the gauge is more how do they play? What do they look like? Just kind of like what it was going into Notre Dame again. But it wouldn't shock me if they won it, but I wouldn't put money on it.
It's kind of important that they find a way to go win a game, though. I mean, it's at this point, there's a lot of good that was undone with what we saw Saturday night. What did you make? And I'll go straight to it. Your thoughts, if on a scale, if you will. Let's use the Jimbo press conference post NC State after that most unforgivable loss and his reaction and answers that we were all there for that press conference where we thought, oh my goodness, we're just going to go ahead and blame this all on the players, to what we saw today. What were your thoughts on what Mike Norvell had to say today?
I thought the message was fine. For the most part, he certainly was not going to admit, real mistakes in terms of game plan or in terms of strategy or in terms of decisions during the game. I mean, he said that, he basically defended the decision on the fourth down, the last pass. Felt like that was the defense that they wanted to be in that moment. Kind of intimated, you read between the lines that maybe he'd like to have it to do over again, but never came out and said that. Really defended kind of the handling of the quarterbacks and what they did there. And then they've since, the depth charts come out and McKenzie Milton's the clear starter. It's not even an or anymore. So they're basically, McKenzie Milton's the guy for now. So kind of defended that. And then as far as the running backs, wouldn't even admit that, that Trayshawn Ward and Jason Corbin should have got more touches in the fourth quarter. He and Kenny Dillingham both talked about how talented Lawrence Toafili is and how much they believe in him. So there was nothing in a sense of, hey, we looking back, we would have changed this or that. So that, is probably going to irritate some people because I think sometimes people want a pound of flesh. But at the same time, I think the overall message that he gave to us was, I think, the same message, he's probably given to the team that, this wasn't a situation where what we're doing is wrong and we need to scrap everything and start over. We've got to play better in the moment. He did say the coaches have to make sure, basically said the coaches have to make sure they're putting the kids in the best positions to succeed. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to, execution and details and fundamentals, which, a lot of coaches will say.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to roll as defensive coordinator in the press conference. There's no way he thinks they were in the right defense, but he's not going to say that. No coach really does. I understand that. I can't believe he thinks that was okay. It seems to me there was a miscommunication there. I don't know that for sure, though. We're not on the headset. Secondarily, I'd ask you, they did it appears the right thing finally. They're done with Dante Lucas. You mentioned the depth chart. He's not on it anywhere.
Yeah, he's not only not on it, but he's no longer part of the program.
Right.
We've since found that out. And, look, I think that's been a 3 or 4 year constant kind of a situation where, Dante Lucas is a talented guy, but they've had issues throughout his 3 or 4 years in terms of just, being accountable, being dependable, doing what he's supposed to be doing. And there's been some close calls in the last couple of years. And I know for a fact that there were some people around the program who thought his time here should have been done maybe a year ago. But he's apparently a likable kid. a lot of people kind of have supported him and pushed for him to get as many chances as possible. And we don't know what happened between Saturday night and today, but my guess is, Mike Norvell talked in the postgame press conference about holding players accountable for penalties, and Dante had 3 of them in that game, which is 3 penalties is a season's worth for an offensive lineman. It can't happen in one game. And so, and I'm sure in the fallout of that, or discussions about, punishment for that, maybe that's when everybody decided to move forward. So it's a big loss, though, from a personnel standpoint, though, because, they don't have an abundance of talented offensive linemen, and he didn't always play like it, but he had the material to work with, even though it didn't always show up on the field.
I know it didn't come up in the press conference today, or at least I didn't hear it. I thought it was interesting on the sidelines. Ira, I know you're my resident sideline watcher, and I'm sure you saw it. There was at times real tension between Mike Norvell and Jordan Travis in a moment in which he huddled the 2 quarterbacks together. Did you see it that way? Did you happen to observe that? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was watching it, and but it's so hard. That was one, to me, it's really hard to tell, because those moments when players are coming off the sideline and coaches are talking to them, and sometimes the conversation goes longer than the player wants it to go, and the player starts walking away. And there was a moment later in the game where McKenzie came off after a bad series, and I thought, Norvell was talking to him, and McKenzie started to walk away, and so it's hard to get too carried away with assumptions based on that. But I'm sure Jordan's not thrilled right now. The fact is, he's not only gone from starting the first game to then playing some of the second game, and then now he's no longer listed as the or of McKenzie Milton. So that's going to, that relationship has been something that we all thought might be interesting when McKenzie Milton transferred in. They've done a good job since he's been here about those guys being on the same page. But it's certainly something to watch going forward.
I know the result is shocking, and I know that that's all we see right now is that the ending of that game, how sloppy that game was, how ill-prepared that team looked. But I want to ask your opinion. Were you as shocked by the overall effort and the I think the unpreparedness to some degree of the team this week? Do you think that this was more, and this is just an opinion question, do you think this was more a failure of having your finger on the pulse of the team as a coaching staff than it was execution? Obviously, they didn't execute, but I think it starts with what they did that week in practice. I think they really miscalculated what they could get away with in this game.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, that you have to point to that. There's a reason they were not very focused. And when you say they weren't focused, I cannot say that they didn't play with effort.
Right. I agree with that.
Norvell said that today as well. But what are focus penalties or focus mistakes? Penalties? Well, they had a ton of them. Guys getting lined up incorrectly. They had that. They had guys not getting out on the field on time during substitutions.
Drops too. Yeah.
You have drop passes, and you have lack of awareness after a catch on the winning play. So definitely focus was a concern. And ultimately that's on the coaching staff. And I don't know that there was anything, the 2 days we were out there practice, it wasn't like I saw anything that said, these guys aren't going to be focused. It seemed like they were doing what they normally do. I don't know if it was maybe in the pregame meetings. I don't know if it was the day of, if it was the actual gameplay they installed and some of the tricks they, the 2 quarterback stuff and some of that. We can make all of our theories we want, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is the team was not focused. And if they had been, they beat that team by 2 or 3 touchdowns, even if they don't play well, and they didn't.
I'm curious if you think, I asked it sort of at the beginning of our conversation here. Do you think they will go play well in this game against Wake Forest, 3:30?
I do. I really do. There hasn't been anything that I've seen over the last, we've seen most of the spring practices. We've seen all these preseason practices. I haven't seen anything that makes me think, well, this team's teetering on the edge. But then when something like that happens, you have to wonder. And now you've had an offensive lineman leave the team, and Dante Lucas. So it's something certainly to watch. And if they come out and do not respond well, that's a really bad sign. And it just shows how much Mike Norvell and his staff have to do to get this team on track. But I do think they're going to play well. I haven't seen anything that suggests it won't. But as much as anything else, that's what we're going to be looking for in this game.
I suspect they play well too. That's interesting. All right, Ira, always appreciate it. Be well, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, take care. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of vetted this game as much as you possibly can. Obviously, a lot of things went wrong for you to lose to Jacksonville State. And at the end of the day, whatever the reason, and everybody's got a theory, it's on the head coach to have a team ready to play and to execute better than they did. And if they don't, and they lose like this, and they lose in that manner, shocking as it may be, it's hard to know how the players will respond to that. I tend to agree that I tend to agree that they'll rally and play well, and they may not be good enough, and that's the thing that you wonder about. I mean, they're not an overwhelmingly talented team. There's no doubt about that, and they are lacking in some areas. So we'll see if they even just playing hard and being focused and even playing angry is enough to go and get a win. I mean, the program is really in the doldrums. It's really in a place where even if they execute and play well, it's no guarantee that you beat the middling teams of the ACC.
Perhaps it's something for the next segment. You tell me. But is it noteworthy to you that there is no or next to Jordan Travis' name, and it's McKenzie Milton as the starter?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought going into the season that if McKenzie Milton were healthy and he could practice and be available to be there for install and to rep what they're going to run and do those things, that he would be the starting quarterback. I didn't think they brought him in here to sit. I didn't think he came here to sit. But because preseason camp was really more a question of availability than anything else, you began to wonder, well, maybe physically, again, what he went through was traumatic for his body. That's an understatement to say the least when you nearly lose your leg. I began to wonder, well, maybe it just can't happen, unfortunately, and that would derail the dream. And that's unfortunate because you're rooting for anybody who puts in the kind of time, effort, and dreams big to come back and start at a program like this and at a place in a Power 5 conference period, and I began to wonder. But yeah, if he's getting stronger and if that foot's bothering him less, yeah, Jordan is a wildly inconsistent thrower of the football. He hasn't shown the ability to play in and play out, series in and series out, throw the ball from the pocket in rhythm on time. And I think they desire to do that. I think they think that opens more things up for them in a lot of ways. Now, there are people who would argue against that, would tell you that this offensive line can't block that up, and you're going to need a runner.
It's at least noteworthy to me because they went through all sorts of gyrations, proverbially speaking, of course, in preseason about, well, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be, and we wanted to get this work in for these guys, and, it's deload management days, and the cloak and dagger nature of who is going to be the guy for Notre Dame. You could continue that, but instead they chose to outright declare it, at least on a piece of paper. Not at a press conference, but on a piece of paper, that there is no or anymore. I mean, if you told me that 3 weeks ago when we were in the throes of camp and there was debates about how much can be reported on,
yeah,
that's kind of a big deal.
I just think it means that perhaps McKenzie's getting healthier. And, that's ultimately what it says to me, because neither played all that well in this game. McKenzie was also snake bit by the fact that his guys can't catch. And that group really failed him miserably. Some of those numbers would have looked a lot better. He has an easy touchdown, a long one at that. But we have two other big drops in the game, including from Wilson at tight end, which that's a big play. I'm going to need you to catch the damn ball. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, he's fumbling it before he gets hit. He's fumbling the ball around.
Yeah, I mean, catch the damn ball. It's just, the whole thing was a nightmare. If you're suffering from storm damage, T-Spark knows how to work with the insurance companies and help navigate the insurance process to help put your home back to pre-claim condition. Wind damage, missing shingles, make sure you call T-Spark Roofing and Construction to inspect your roof. They'll work with you, they'll work with the insurance companies, and they'll make it happen. Tree lands on your roof and there's structural damage. A roofer can't always repair that because it's structural. But with T-Spark, it's one call because you have a general contractor and roofer as well. T-Spark Roofing and Construction. One-stop shop, baby. I use them. Tom uses them. You should too if you're in need. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Tallahassee police officer died Saturday, according to a late-night tweet from the agency. According to TPD, the officer died earlier in the day at a local hospital. The cause of death is unclear at this time, but a TPD spokesperson said the officer was not working at the time of his death. TPD is not identifying the officer at this time out of respect for the family. The U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has opened a civil rights investigation into Florida's mask mandate ban in schools. The Office for Civil Rights issued a statement saying that the organization opened the investigation out of concern that Florida's policy requiring public schools and school districts to allow parents to opt their children out of mask mandates may be preventing schools in Florida from meeting their legal obligations not to discriminate based on disability and from providing an equal educational opportunity to students with disabilities who are at heightened risk of severe illness from COVID-19. Similar investigations have been opened in 5 other states. This is Rachel N.A. with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 89. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 72. Tonight, partly cloudy. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 87. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. Mid-80s Wednesday, upper 80s by Thursday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 86.
Hey, Nole fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state government, including public health and emergency response agencies, our friends at ISF recognize September as National Preparedness Month and want to help you be safe this hurricane season. Visit ISF.com to learn more and download your emergency preparedness plan today. ISF, solving the future.
Greg Tish, Real Talk 93.3.
Hey everybody, this is Greg Tish. Thank you so much for listening to Real Talk 93.3. Don't forget you can check out me and Maddie Rowe every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Greg Tish Show. Wake up with a smile with the Greg Tish Show. How's that sound, Maddie Rowe? Is that a good promo for you?
That's good enough for me.
Is that good? Are we
It's
at
good for
30
everybody.
seconds yet?
Right about now.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout, resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Ever again, and I play the track.
That's what you get, buddy.
It's a good album, but nobody wants to hear that right now.
By the way, I was just thinking about the games, the matchups for this weekend that are exciting. I was going through all the interesting games that we'll have a chance to talk about as the week unfolds. But it reminds me, the Pac-12 does, of the ACC a few years back where you had about 3 teams at the top that you're like, well, those can compete with anybody. But the rest of the league was just horrific. So, you see Washington that's now 0-2 with a loss to an FCS team and get blown out by Michigan there. And that's not good. Stanford crushes Southern Cal, which where in the world? Stanford hadn't scored 48 points in like the last 20 weeks. And they do that on USC, that's a toughie, Mr. Helton. That's a toughie.
I posted this, but my brother-in-law grew up a diehard USC fan. He grew up in Newport Beach, and he's a Florida State Seminole first because he came here for college. And usually when they play primetime games, he DVRs them. So yesterday was an experience back-to-back. I wonder when he gave up on, because he might have watched the USC game first, and he's like, all right, you know what, let's just flip over to the FSU game. What is this?
Yeah, had to be tough.
My Sunday is terrible.
But then, on the other hand, so far this year, of course, you have UCLA beating LSU soundly, and you now have Oregon going on the road and beating Ohio State. So they're like, well, got a couple at the top, and Arizona State's look good in their 2 games, so we'll see.
When you mentioned Auburn and Penn State earlier, I thought, that's interesting now because we have relative conference strength arguments, and they're legitimate. You could argue these things now about like who is actually the deeper, stronger conference. And if it's a mid-level game, nobody's picking Penn State to go to the playoff right now, or Auburn for that matter. But when you're trying to move the chess pieces on the board and say who's the strongest, it's in doubt a little bit more this year. That's cool. I like that.
It is. I'm going to watch that Penn State-Auburn game. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It will be after, of course, Florida State's win over Wake Forest. And the opportunity to be in a good mood as you sit down for 7:30.
You said that so casually. I was just nodding like, okay, wait, what did he say? You're just, okay, you're calling for it, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm going to bet.
It's going to be a good weekend is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm going to bet that we're not in a defense late in a close game and the other team is in a desperate position, needing a gift from the gods. And we're not going to decide to have 5 players underneath in order to take away the mid-range pass. We're gonna know that the intermediate pass is not what we're trying to defend here, but rather something that is a little bit deeper.
So you're going to bet that we're not in that situation.
I'm going to bet that we're not in that situation.
Okay.
I'm curious
because we're comfortably ahead. Because you could be up a score and you're in a similar situation. So you okay?
I don't know if our nerves can handle. Can you imagine if this thing is at the 6-point lead and Wake has the ball at the 50?
It's an interesting answer, but yeah.
No, listen. I like Florida State this week.
Okay,
I like them immediately following the disaster on Saturday night. It doesn't do any good. I get the fact that so what? I like them. Hundreds of our fans will say, "I don't. You're nuts." Okay, great. We'll watch the game. We'll all watch the game together. It's fun. I do think they'll play hard. I do think they are more together than people think right now.
Okay, so then you believe that the culture and the change in the culture can withstand losing to an FCS team.
It's the biggest question mark that has to be answered this Saturday. Yes. When he made the comments that he did, that he likes this team's culture, heart, dedication, and he believes in what they teach and what they're doing, and he believes in them, I agree with that. Now,
I do too. This is quite the natural disaster. To throw
it's unbelievable.
Throw the seafaring town.
It's unbelievable what they just did. It's unbelievable. They just incinerated whatever hope and belief people had in them. Yes.
You're talking about 1% incremental improvements, consistency.
Right. Yeah, no, it was absolutely asinine, self-inflicted nonsense that this staff just put upon these players in a way that defies all logic. Really does. We'll come back, wrap it up momentarily. Jeff Cambridge at 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
For about 50 years, Paul's Termite and Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses for thousands of people right here in the Big Bend. And we're quite proud of that. Fact is, all of us here at Paul's have families, and nothing is more important to us than their protection. By providing effective termite and pest treatments, we know we're aiding many right here in our community.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control performs many services designed for the protection of your family and your home. Programs like Pro Shield Complete, which encompasses termite and general pest control in one low-cost quarterly treatment plan. This program is environmentally friendly and is almost exclusively limited to exterior treatments, meaning pests and termites never enter your home. Termite programs like Centricon, a service which requires no invasive drilling or liquid applications. Plus, our lawn care team keeps lawns and ornamentals green and healthy.
Protection of your family, your home, and our environment all are very important to each of us at Paul's. To learn more about our many programs, please visit us at callpauls.com.
For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all. Applications, onboarding, payroll, termination. Business owners and managers, these are the processes that take away too much time from what you do best. But what if there was a locally owned, responsive solution that would charge you a fraction of the big national payroll companies? Sound too good to be true? It's not. North Florida Payroll Services is Tallahassee owned for nearly 15 years. And in that time, their prices have never changed. The reason North Florida Payroll Services can do that? Exceptional customer service that constantly evolves with the latest technology. From application to termination, for turnkey service for your payroll and HR services, trust a Tallahassee expert and save yourself time and money. North Florida Payroll Services. Online at northfloridapayroll.com.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400. or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
While other gun stores come and go, Red Hills Arms remains Tallahassee's go-to local gun store for all your firearms needs. At Red Hills Arms, they're right on target. Stop by today and get welcomed in like family.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Real Talk fact number 44. Banging your head against the wall for 1 hour burns 150 calories. This is Real Talk 93.3, Tallahassee's Real Talk station. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Give you the probables. North Florida Payroll Services sponsored this segment, locally owned for nearly 15 years, offering payroll and HR services, including full online applicant onboarding and integration into payroll. Save your company money and headaches today. Head to northfloridapayroll.com.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Your Mets got the big win over the Yanks.
Yeah.
Twins, Yankees, 5-0 Minnesota currently. The Yankees are falling off a cliff.
The Mets challenged them because apparently the Yankees were whistling to tip off pitches over the weekend.
Yep.
Lindor didn't have any of it.
No, hit 3 bombs.
He was whistling at the Yankees as he was rounding the bases.
Which is awesome.
And then
Pitch is cleared. I saw when Stanton tied it.
Okay.
Let's get it on.
That's nice.
John Gant, Luis Gil, the starters in that game between the Twins and the Yanks currently. Marlins, Nats. Sandy Alcantara. Pedro Espino. Not bad. Rays, Blue Jays, Colin McHugh, Alec Manoah. We got the Cardinals and the Mets. Adam Wainwright, Rich Hill. Stros, Rangers, Jake Odorizzi, Spencer Howard, Padres, Giants, Yu Darvish, Dominic Leone. D-backs, Dodgers, Zach Gallen, Clayton Kershaw. Red Sox, Mariners, Eduardo Rodriguez, Logan Gilbert. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. All in all, I don't know. Yesterday was an interesting day in the NFL. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was good to have it back.
The 1 o'clock window was less than inspiring.
That is correct.
Yeah. The 4 o'clock window was much better. And then we had the smash on for the finish of that window.
Fitzmagic out for a number of weeks with a hip injury. Not good.
Thought it was going to be an arm or a shoulder injury the way he landed because he braced himself.
It was weird. Okuda for the Lions out for the season with a ruptured Achilles. That's problematic. They almost had one of the greatest comebacks in the history of football, at least in the NFL. So, interesting. The Saints have agreed with Mr. Lattimore on a huge deal. So he's locked up now. And
Jameis threw for like 50 yards and 5 touchdowns. That was interesting.
148, I think it was.
Yeah,
and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Looked really good. Looked just at ease, comfortable. Saints will be interesting. They'll be able to throw the forward pass again, Tom. It's so amazing that they have somebody that can throw the ball beyond 10 yards.
That means you've got some things to prepare for. And given that the Bucs are dinged up in the secondary and they didn't look great to begin with, okay, all right. They've got a flaw.
Yeah, but you're not going to run. You're not going to run on Tampa Bay.
Correct, and we'll see how good the Cowboys' tackles are because they held up quite well.
The right tackle's now gone, so that's a problem. That's just they're dropping like flies, those tackles. So
Giants and football team on Thursday is kind of a steaming pile game, but I'm interested in it.
Well, I'm going to watch it
because you have a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm watching, buddy. Yeah. My guess is Heineke doesn't look like Montana, like he did against us in that out of nowhere
highest
game.
graded quarterback in the league that weekend.
That's the craziest thing ever. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. Be well. Deep breaths. Breathe. We'll talk to you tomorrow.